So this site we are at in Aston-on-Trent in Derbyshire is a great example of buried archaeology. Apart from this very low rise of the barrow, Bronze Age barrow behind me, the rest of this site comprises nothing but below ground archaeology. You stand and look out across this site, 90% of which is under arable cultivation, and you don't see any features. It's very difficult in these circumstances to understand the nature and the type of archaeology you have. Often sites like this are only visible from aerial photography or other specialist surveys. This site is part of a wide and complex prehistoric landscape which stretches across the Trent River Valley. This landscape is incredibly important for our understanding about our past prehistoric cultures. It is the equivalent of the type of prehistoric landscapes we see down in the southwest of England around Stonehenge. The only difference is what we have here is almost completely buried archaeology. So this vast and complex prehistoric landscape is under threat from a number of human interventions. We've got arable activities and farming which can damage below ground remains and erode earthworks, and we also have elements such as large quarrying activity which has slowly over time eroded that landscape and lost that buried archaeology. It makes these areas which still remain and are protected within areas of farmland and protected by designations such as scheduled monuments really important and vital to our understanding of the past and prehistoric cultures. Scheduled monuments are nationally important archaeological sites which are legally protected under the Ancient Monuments and Archaeological Areas Act 1979. These are the sites which are the most important identified sites which we know about in England. There are almost 20,000 scheduled monuments across England, and these vary in multiple different sites, features and landscapes. They can date from the very earliest prehistoric right up to the Cold War. So if a farmer wants to do any works on a scheduled monument, they should contact Historic England and their local regional office to get some early initial advice. Any works on a scheduled monument legally require something called scheduled monument consent. This is for any works which result in the demolition, alteration, repair, additions, flooding or tipping on scheduled monuments. There are some scheduled monuments which benefit from something called Class Consent 1.
Class consents are a legal tool which automatically grants scheduled monument consent for particular activities on scheduled monuments, providing certain conditions are followed. Class Consent 1 allows arable cultivation on a monument so long as it's within the same location and the same depth that cultivation has lawfully been undertaken on that site previously. If a scheduled monument was protected before 1981, then to be lawful now it must have been under arable cultivation during a 5-year qualifying period prior to that year. For sites protected after 1981, they must have been under arable cultivation at the time they were designated as a scheduled monument. For both types of monument, arable cultivation must have continued with no break of more than 6 years. Deeper cultivation or other agricultural works such as subsoiling or drainage works are not permitted under the class consent. The aim of this consent is to ensure there is no new damage to a scheduled monument, maintaining cultivation to at least within the areas already disturbed by ploughing on that site. If cultivation techniques change for a period of 6 years or more, for example moving from inversion ploughing to minimum tillage, then that change then becomes the lawful method of cultivation on that site. There would no longer be consent for ploughing or other activities at the previous depths. This helps to improve the preservation and protection of that monument. For more information on class consent and how it might affect you, please contact your local Historic England office.
Any works which are undertaken on a scheduled monument without scheduled monument consent or class consent or outside of class consent would be considered unauthorised works and would be considered a criminal offence. If you want to find out more information about scheduled monuments and see where they are in and around you, you can look at the National Heritage List for England, which is on Historic England's website. That will show you where the scheduled monuments are, as well as other designated heritage assets such as listed buildings and registered park and gardens. Other resources include the Magic website and your local historic environment record, which is operated by the county councils. And if you're applying for countryside stewardship, you will have this information on your HEFA.